G'day, these videos are on our index laws, and in books and stuff like that they'll say this is law number 1, law number 2, and etc. You don't really need to know what law number they are, you just need to know what they say. And so I'm just going to go through them one at a time and sort of explain what's going on. So let's just have a look at this just so that we know what terminology we're talking about. Firstly, what we do is this is 2 to the power of 3 is equal to 8. And so this 2 here, we call that the base number, the base. This number here is called the power, or could be called the exponent. Oh, didn't spell that right, exponent. Could also be called the index, so that's where it comes from. That's the power index there. And that what it's called there is like the whole number or something like that. Anyway, so the main important thing is that the base is that and the power is that and the whole number is equal to that. And so let's just go straight into it and let's just have a look at law number 1. And law number 1 says, that if you've got some number to the power of m and you multiply it by that same base to the power of a different number n, what that is equal to a to the m plus n. So you add together the powers. And that's kind of obvious. Like if you've got, like, say 2 cubed, and we times that by 2 squared, that's equal to 2 times 2 times 2, that's the 2 cubed, times 2 times 2. That's the 2 squared. And so what is that equal to? Well, it's 2 to the power 5. You add up adding that up. So that's the first index law. And so there you go. So let's do an example of this. We'll just work through each index law one at a time. So let's say we've got 3xy cubed times 7x squared y to the power 9 or something like that. Okay, so what that's equal to, let's take care of the numbers first. Okay, so the numbers with this is all these things are multiplied together. Okay, so this is 3 times 7, which is 21. X times x squared. X times x squared, well, that's x to the power 1 times x to the power 2, so you add the powers together, so you get x to the power 3. And then let's look at the y's. Y cubed times y to the power 9. Remember, add the powers together, and you get y to the power 12. And that's your answer there. And that's really all there is to it. That's quite simple, just adding the powers together. Cool. Let's have a look at index law number 2. Number 2 talks about what happens when you divide them, and it's probably already obvious to you what happens. So a to the m divided by a to the n is the same as writing a to the m divided by a to the n as a fraction, same thing. What happens then is that you subtract the powers, the top minus the bottom. Okay, so again, it's obvious if you sort of write it out. 2 to the power 5 divided by 2 squared, something like that. If you write that as a fraction, that means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and you divide that by 2 times 2. So what happens? Well, the number that you've got on the bottom cancel out to the ones on top. So you cancel that 2, you cancel that 2, you cancel that 2, and you cancel that 2. And so the number on the top gets less. So that's 2 cubed by however many is on the bottom. In other words, 5 minus 2. You just subtract this number on the bottom from the top, and so you get 2 cubed. That's why it works. Let's have a look at an example. So let's do 3x to the power 7, y to the power 9z, that is a 9, over, let's go 21x y squared. Let's have a look at what this might be equal to. So again, just take it one piece at a time. Do the numbers first, then do the letters. Okay, so with the numbers, do exactly the same as what you'd do if you just had a fraction. 3 over 21, well, that could be simplified. That has a common factor of 3. So take 3 out of each of both of these, and you get 1 over 7. Okay, so there's the first part. Let's now deal with the x's. We've got an x7 on the top and just an x on the bottom line, so x to the power 1. So the answer will be x to the power 7 minus 1 will be 6. Good. our y's, we've got y to the power 9 and y squared. What we'll be left with? We'll be left with y. 9 minus 2 is 7. And so that's what we've got left. Oh, sorry, we've got this z sitting here as well. Just there's nothing happening there, just the z sits there by itself. Simplify that. That 1, we don't need to write that, so it's x6, y7, z over 7. There's your answer. Hopefully that makes sense. We'll have more practice at that as we go along. The third law, again, don't care about whether you know what the laws, what numbers they are, just as long as you know them. Anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. And everyone always asks why this is the case. Just quickly, because I don't want to spend too much time, but 3 cubed is equal to 27. 3 squared is equal to 9. 3 to the power 1 is equal to 3. 3 to the power 0, well, we'll leave that blank because we don't really know. Okay. Later on you'll find out that 3 to the power negative 1 equals, well, let's leave this as well. Let's just have a look at what's happening as this number gets smaller. And maths follows patterns. 27 to here, what's happening between there and there? Well, it's dividing by 3. And that makes sense because here we're timesing by 3 going this way. We're timesing by 3 because we're adding another 3. There we're dividing by 3. From the 9 to the 3 here, again, we're dividing by 3. So what's 3 divided by 3 if we go again? 3 divided by 3 is 1. It has to be. Something to the power 0 has to be 1 because of this very thing. If you do this with other numbers, you'll see that it still holds true. Okay, and I don't want to spoil the surprise yet, but if you divide by 3 again, what's 3 to the power negative 1? Well, what's 1 divided by 3? 1/3. Oh, I might just spoil the surprise. Okay, if you go again, if you divide by 3, what's 1/3 divided by 3? It's 1/9, or 1 on 3 squared. Okay, I'll talk more about this later on. But that's why this law is true. It follows the mathematical pattern. It makes sense. Okay, so let's just do a quick example over here, but they're pretty boring. I'll do 2 examples. I'll do a boring one in that one. So let's do xy to the power 0. Oh, it's equal to 1. Anything to the power 0 is equal to 1. That's such a boring example. Let me do something a bit more interesting. Negative 7 x to the power 0 y squared plus 3. Let me just do this one. So it's not obvious what happens here. Well, this x to the power 0 here, well, that will be equal to 1. Okay, so that's equal to 1. So this is just negative 7 times 1 times y squared. So that's just equal to negative 7. That sort of disappears because it's just timesing it by 1. Negative 7y squared plus 3. And that's the answer there. So that just disappears because we're just timesing by 1. And that's index law number 3. Let me get on. I'll do index law number 4 and then I better stop the video just to make sure I don't run out of time. So index law number 4. I'm not supposed to rhyme. Just kind of did. A to the m to the power n. What index law number 4 says is that if you have something raised to a power and then you raise that entire thing to another power there, then that's equal to a of m times n. Okay. Hopefully you can see the difference between this and the index law number 1. Hopefully you can see the difference. We're timesing 2 powers together here. In this case, we're raising the whole power here to another power, and so that's when you multiply, and this is when you add. So you really need to see the difference between those 2 cases. This is index law number 4. Why does it happen? Well, let's say if you've got 2 cubed and you raise that to the power squared or something like that. What this means is that this means 2 cubed times by 2 cubed because we're squaring what's inside. Okay, so this is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So how many 2's do you get? 2 to the power 6, which is 2 times 3. Okay, so that's why it works. Let's do an example or 2 on index law number 4. So let's just do x squared to the power 3, and let's just hang a 2 out the front, something like that. What's that equal to? Well, The 2's just sitting there by itself, nothing happens to that. And what happens to this is the powers get multiplied together. So that's 2x to the power 6. Nice and easy, pretty boring to be honest. I don't want to do anything more overly complicated. Let's just do y negative 2 to the power negative 6. What would that be equal to? Well, that's just y, and we just multiply the powers together because it's the entire thing raised to a new power. Negative 2 times negative 6 is 12, and so that's y to the power 12. That's the next law number 4. I'll stop the video there and continue on in the next one.